आमची
आजच लाईव्ह झालं.
Good morning, everyone.
डेमो आहे.
We'll just wait for this 1 minute and we'll start our session.
मला पाठवू पैसे विषय नाही पहिले
काय काय केलं तुम्ही? काय काय केलं तुम्ही? फुल बंद होते ना तुम्ही?
नाही मी नव्हतो.
कोण कोण होतं?
कुलदीप, संगमेश, आकाश, विशाल. मी 9 वाजता. हॅलो तुझा का नाही आवाज नाही ऐकला मी यूट्यूबचं काम करत होतो ना. तुझं आत्ता चालू आहे, बोल तू, मी ऐकतोय. भक्ती 1 मिनिट आपण बघू. स्टॉपवॉच लाव. सॉरी हां आणि ना डिले बघशील.
कशामधला? याच्यातला दोघांमधला. त्याच्यासाठी स्टॉपवॉच का लागतो?
किती सेकंड चालू कर. हे बघ म्हणजे एक लगभग 5 सेकंड दिले.
5 सेकंद.
ठीक आहे ना?
5 सेकंद.
ठीक आहे ना, सफिशियंट म्हणजे ओके. तो FDP कोणती पाहिजे? 3 चालू आहे. FDP
Good morning, everyone.
2 चालू आहे का 3 चालू आहे? 2च चालू आहे का?
2 चालू आहे. 2 चालू आहे.
2च आहे. कोणत्या तुला कोणती पाहिजे? कोणाला शेअर
This is Vaibhav Vishram from PHN Technology Pvt Ltd. On behalf of PHN Technology Pvt Ltd, I welcome once again all the respected professors and teachers. Thank you for joining us today for the 3rd session for a faculty diploma program. I am excited to introduce about our company, that is PHN Technology Pvt Ltd. In 2013, we started as a robotic company. Now we are into the software development, digital marketing, business solutions, Android development, web development, and IoT. Our mission is to provide technology-based learning platform to all students in India. PHN Technology Pvt Ltd has launched for the student PHN Tech Diva. This program is for advanced technology workshop. And this program is helpful for the student to develop their knowledge, skill in various fields such as Android development, data science and machine learning with Python, 3D printing, DevOps, full stack development. Our trainer conducting workshop is from reputed companies such as Google, Microsoft, Amazon and many more. The duration of workshop is of 2 days. And after that, the student will be get certificate. We believe that our program will provide student opportunities to learn from the expert in industry and gain the practical skill set that will helpful for their future career. I will share the link of chat box. You can circulate among the students. And without wasting the time, I would like to proceed with our session. I request Gaurav Shah sir to please take over.
Yes, thank you so much. So, hello all, very good morning. Hope all of you are doing good. So, before starting the session, please let me know who all people are new for the, who all people are joining for the first time this session. in the chat box. Can you please respond, guys? Because I can see many of the people are from the old batches only. Okay. Let me share my screen. So how many of you are from like new joining for the first time? Can you please respond in the chat window? So accordingly, I'll deliver my session. Okay. Preeti ma'am, it's your first session. Shabi sir, it's your first session. Okay. So as we know, this is the 8 weeks faculty development program. So we have started our first session with the basics or understanding of the DevOps, how DevOps culture evolved, how software development life cycle was in the 1990s or 1995 in 2000s, how software development was used to do. Okay, in the first session we understand what is the reason the DevOps tools and technologies came into the picture and how we are evolving into the software development life cycle. Okay, then we understood what is the meaning of CI/CD pipeline, what is the meaning of continuous integration, continuous deployment, and what all tools we are using for a CI/CD pipeline. So this all things we understand in the session number 1. In session 2, like last weekend, we have gone through the basics or the fundamentals of Linux. Okay, so Linux, Git, and any one programming language is a prerequisite in order to get into the IT, get into the DevOps or cloud tools and technology tool chain. Basically, this is the basics or requirement for every technology, irrespective of your field. If you want to go into data science, then you need to have very good understanding of Linux, Git, and GitHub, as well as any one of the programming language. Okay, but the programming language differs as per the technology, because in DevOps we required only fundamentals of programming like Python programming or Java programming, any one of the programming. So today, for the new people, let me introduce myself. My name is Gaurang Shah, and I am having overall 8 years of experience into the IT industry. I started my career as a software developer from Atos India Private Limited in 2015, mid of 2015. And I started working with the programming language like Java or databases like MySQL or Oracle. After having 2.5 years, I got attracted towards this fascinating technology, cloud as well as DevOps. So I started understanding cloud DevOps myself. I started sitting with the people who are having expertise in this field. I started sitting with the architects who is designing the whole system. And I got to learn about the new tools and technologies in GitHub and in DevOps as well as cloud. So in my current overall 8 years of experience, I got certified into multiple certifications like Google Cloud Professional Architect, Google Cloud Associate Engineer, then AZ104 Azure Administrator, AZ400 Azure DevOps, Java Fundamentals. I'm certified into Oracle Certified Java Developer as well. And recently I got certified into Kubernetes. Okay. After working with Atos, I worked with Persistent for almost 1.5 years, and currently I am working as an assistant manager of DevOps team in Michelin Tires. Michelin Tires is world's second ranked tire manufacturing company. Okay. So that's all about me, and we will start today's session. The agenda of today's session is we are going to understand about Git and GitHub fundamentals. Today's session will be more of not that much deep, which will be required for a developer, but yes, Git and GitHub fundamentals, which is required to have at least what type of skill set you need to learn in Git and GitHub to become a proficient DevOps or cloud engineer. So in today's agenda, what we are going to cover is like what is version control system. But before version control system, how things used to do when version control system was not available. Let's say in the era of 1990s to 2000s, how people used to develop the software. We are going to understand that thing. Then we are going to understand what is the version control system. Just a minute. Yes, what is a version control system? Then what all are the benefits of the version control system? Then what are the types of version control system and what is the difference between that version control system? Then we are going to start learning about the Git and GitHub, like why we are using Git, GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, these tools most widely in day-to-day life in a real-time approach. That you will understand if you know the basics. Once we start with the Git, then how we are doing the installation and setup of Git, that we are going to do, and along with that we are going to learn about the real time, how we are working in the real time environment while in day-to-day life while using the Git tool. Okay, so feel free to ask me any questions if you are having any doubt in between. Okay, and I hope all of you guys are energetic for today's session. I will be happy if you respond in the chat window, then it will motivate me to deliver you with a good energy. Hello, am I audible to all of you guys?
Yes, Gorang sir, you are pretty much audible.
Yeah, so I'd like to have you guys to be interactive for the whole session, because if you guys are interactive, then I'll be happy to deliver you more things. Yeah, thank you so much. So let's start. What is the Git and GitHub? Okay, so the very first thing is, right now we are going to understand what is version control in old school days. The meaning of old school days is when there was no version control system, when there was no tools available for developers to do a day-to-day coding. Okay, so what used to do is, there was one manager. If you see over here, there was one manager, and one manager is managing a team of 4 people. For example, developer 1 name is Ashwini, developers 2 name is Amay, dev 3 is Rahul, and dev 4 is Akash. Okay, so what used to do is, dev 1 used to do a code, dev 2 these people are working on some feature development, they are developing some functionalities of the application. Okay, if dev 1 is done with their coding, okay, dev 2, dev 3, dev 4, all of these people needs to share their code in order to match up the code. For example, part of functionality is done by Achu and part of same functionality is done by Amay. These 2 people are working on a single feature, but they are working on different tasks. You can say different tasks. Simply, if let me give you the example, Ashu is working on login page, and dev 2, who is dev 2, let's say Akash. Akash is working on a registration page. This is just an example. Okay, so dev 1 Ashu is working on login page, dev 2 Akash is working on registration page. These 2 are tasks. Okay, these 2 are tasks, but these 2 tasks are part of same feature. Okay, so guys, understand what is the meaning of feature is functionality. Basically, feature means functionality. If you see, whenever you do visit any website or any application, first of all you register on that website, and then once your registration is done, you put up OTP and everything, you validate that it is your account, it is your email ID, or it is your mobile number, then you go ahead with the login page. So this is a one feature. On this one feature, these 2 people are working, Ashu and Akash. Okay, so they need to share their code. So they used to share their code with the help of zipping the file, and they are sharing the file. And once everyone done with their coding, they used to share that code with their manager. So their manager or their team lead need to compare the codes. He need to merge the code into single package. Okay, so this complete process, it was very much hectic. The reason is right now I am talking about 4 developers, but if you see in the software development scenario, I personally seen many of teams which are having 25, 30, 50 numbers of developers working in a single project or in a single team. So it is very much difficult for manager or team lead to compare the code and merge the code and to make a single package out of it. So to resolve this issue, the version control system came into the place. Okay, so what is the meaning of version control system? If you see, as we know that the software product is developed in the collaboration way. As I told you, collaborated way means number of developers are working in a single project. Okay, so this is called a collaboration by a group of developers, and they might be located at different location or different regions, and each of them contribute some of the specific kind of functions to that particular software. Okay, so in order to contribute to the software, they made modification to the source code. Source code means project code, either by adding or removing the files. So what is the meaning of version control? Version control, also known as source control, it is the practice of tracking and managing changes to the software code. For example, down the line, if you open your mobile application, and in your mobile application, if you see, let's say WhatsApp, if you go to the WhatsApp, okay, if you go to the WhatsApp in Play Store, you will see the version something like 3.2.4, 3.2.1, 3.2.7, whatever it may be. But down the line, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, the version of software, when WhatsApp came into the existence, the first version was version 1.1.1. So continuously WhatsApp developers started developing the product, they are improving their product. So this particular product is known as source code. The product is known as source code, and the management of source code is known as version control system. Okay, the responsibility of version control system is to keep all the team members on the same page. It makes sure that every one of the team is working on the latest version of the file, and most importantly, make sure that all of these people can work simultaneously on the same product or same project. Now let me give you one more example over here. Let's say we are having version control. We are using version control, VCS, version control system. I have developed WhatsApp application with my team of 10 developers. This is just an example, okay? And today we are at version 2.1. Sneha, can you please mute the participants, because I think there is some noises. Yes. So let's say today we are having at the version 2.1. Tomorrow there will be currently our developers are working in the functionality like connect WhatsApp with Twitter. This is just an example, okay, and the version is 2.3 for example, or 2.2, and they deployed this version. Okay, they deployed this version, but this version is not working fine. This version is not working fine. The feature is not working. In this case, what they will do? Does anyone know what they will do? What the manager of the WhatsApp, or what I will do in this case if my version is not working? In this case, what I can do? So what I will do? I will roll back to version 2.1. If I am having the VCS, version control system, I'll roll back my application to the previous version. So this is the reason we are using the version control system to track the source code. Okay, if I want the source code which is 6 months ago or 1 year ago, my developer, which developer have worked on which functionality down the line 6 months ago. In order to keep history of the source code, we are using the version control system. If you see over here, the server Okay, and let's say there are three people working copy, working copy, working copy. Three people, developer one, developer two, and developer three. These three developers are working individually. Once they done their code, they will commit the code into the repository. So repository is the central, you can say, central storage, where all the people will save their code, all the people will commit their code. So he will commit the code, then this person is also going to commit the code, and this person is also going to commit the code. But if I want to use this code again after 3 months, or ask the server or the repository, hey, can you please provide me the updated code or the latest version of code? So I will start working. We are using the version control system. Okay. So in version control system, basically helps to communicate and manage or track all the changes that have been made to the source code, along with the information like who made it, who changes, and what changes have been done in my source code. Okay. So at the very basic level, if you understand, version control system keeps the track on the changes made on particular software and take a photo or the snapshot of every modification. Okay. What does it mean? You are working on something. Let's say you are a cook. All of you people are cook. You people work on some preparation of some dishes, and that dish is become very delicious. What you will do? You will just take a snapshot and you will eat that. Right? Right. So basically, version control is keeping a snapshot of every modification, of every changes, or it is helpful to keep the history of code in the code base. Okay. Now I am going to give you one more example, which is the real-time example which I have worked on. So when I was working into Java development, we are having a team of 6 people, and we were working in the same project. Okay. And we were developing an Android application. Our Android people are developing an Android application, and I have written a functionality of adding a credit card as a payment system. At that time in our project, the credit card as a payment system was not available. Okay, and we have deployed that code into the dev environment. Dev environment means development environment. Okay, and we tested the code in the dev environment, and we found that the credit card functionality is not working. We are not getting the OTP. When we hit through the API, we are not getting the OTP. We found out that this is the issue. What we have done, we have rolled back the application to the previous version. So it is happened only because of the version control system. Okay. So what are the benefits of version control system? Is the first benefit is risk-free collaboration. As I told you, GitHub or any version control system came in place because many people are working on the single project, and they need to collaborate to provide their share, or to deliver their code, or to deliver their functionality. So risk-free collaboration means multiple developers working on a single project may run into an issue because there might be a conflict in the code. Okay, there might be a conflict in the merges. So in order to resolve these conflicts in easiest manner, we are using the version control system. Okay, version control system create the copy of each version of the code. For example, if you committed the code hello world, it will create the copy of that particular code. After some time, you change the hello world to hello DevOps, for example. It will again create once you commit, it will create a snapshot. Okay. So this is the first point where we are using the version control for risk-free collaboration. The second part is managing and protecting the source code. The version control system helps to manage the source code for the software team by keep the track of all the code modifications. For example, managing and protecting the source code. How we are protecting the source code? For example, in my team, I am having 10 people, and everyone is working and committing their code in GitHub. But everyone is having their unique username and password. So I'll understand who is working on what functionality. If I want to find out like before 6 months or before 1 year or before 2 years, who worked on this functionality, this XYZ functionality. So it will be very easy for me to understand or to find out the person who worked on the particular functionality. So this is the second point, that managing and protecting the source code. Third point is increasing the accountability. So what is the meaning of accountability? Means every project is not a perfect project. Okay, everyone is making mistakes. I have seen lots of developers are writing not a good code or wrong functionalities. Okay, so every project is not perfect, so there might be chances of mistake. And ability to track down the source, track down the mistakes. And because if you understand where is the mistake, then you will be able to fix that particular set of mistakes. Okay, so in this case, what happen if I am a developer and I am doing a mistakes every time and I am committing wrong code in my GitHub repository? What will happen? My manager will come to me or my team lead will come to me and they will ask me, hey Gaurang, what you have learned in your 5 or 6 years of experience, you are not doing the good code. Because I will be easily trackable. Apart from 10 developers, I am easily trackable because my commit ID was shown in the GitHub. So in this case, my accountability will be increased, my productivity will be increased. I will think before committing the code. I will think that if I commit the wrong code, then I'll be getting escalated. My issue will be getting escalated. Okay. So what will happen due to accountability? The development team will work in more efficient manner. Okay. Then the next point is keep project in sync. To keep the project in sync, every change to be shared repository needs to work together. Like if we all people are working in the same project, before go live, we need to merge our code into the master branch. Before go live, we need to merge our code into any of the branch, not only master branch. Master branch is for production deployment. If we are working in the same team, we might first merge our code into a development branch. Okay. If our code not worked in dev branch, then what will happen? We will revert the code. Okay, and we will work on the bug fixing. So this will be the part of your project in sync. Okay, so project in sync means everyone in my project will know, like 10 people or 15 people working in my project will know Gaurang is working on this feature, Akash is working on this feature, Ashu is working on this feature because of it. Okay, so last point is comparing earlier version of code. As I told you, like if I want to understand what was the code, software code before 6 months, what was the code of my project before 6 months, so it will be very easy for me to compare the earlier version of code with the today's version of code. Okay, so there are different tools are available in the market for the version control. So GitHub, GitLab, Preforce, Beanstalk, and AWS Code Commit. Then there is a Bitbucket, GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket. So these all are the tools which are used into the market in today's software development. So most widely used tools are GitHub as well as GitLab. Okay. So then any questions so far, guys? Any questions? Please, if you have any questions, then feel free to ask in the comment section. So there are two types of version control. The first type is centralized version control system. It is also known as CVCS. Thank you, Moni. It is known as CVCS, centralized version control. Okay, and the other part is distributed version control system. Anand sir, the use of GitHub is to keep track of your software code. For example, we all people are working on a software development. Our project is 3 years old project. Okay, and we in everyday life we are creating new features, we are adding new functionalities to our software. But in case one of my functionality is not working, which is developed 6 months ago or 1 year ago, for example. Okay, so in that case, what I will do, I will check the source code with the help of GitHub. Hey GitHub, like I will check GitHub, in GitHub down the line 6 months ago who developed this functionality and what code is missing or what is gone wrong. Is there any library is not updated, then I'll update the library. So basically it is an album. Okay, if you want to see the photographs of your marriage or your mother father's marriage, so what you will do, you will just open the album and you will go in back in time and you will check, oh, this is the thing, these people are the part of marriage of my mother and father. Understand? So in order to keep track of your software code, yes, Shivraj, I'll come to this particular point. If repository will crash, do we have backup of repository? Yes. So your question's answer, Shivraj, your question's answer is in this slide. The types of version control system: centralized version system and distributed version system. Okay. So centralized, the meaning of centralized means only single center point of, there is only single point here. If you see the repository, there is a centralized version control system contain just one repository. This one repository globally, and every user needs to commit for the reflecting once change in the repository. Okay. For example, this is the centralized repository. Developer 1, developer 2, developer 3. All of these three people are committing their changes or updating their code in this centralized position. Okay. So everyone is using the same repository. But what is the drawback of this particular thing? As you told, single point of failure, it is having only one server. Because it is having only one server, so this is a single point of failure. What will happen if your repository got crashed, Shivraj? So the example of centralized version control system is SVN and CVS. When I started my career in 2015, I still remember I was working with one of the application. I'm not going to take that name. I'm one of the project where we are using the SVN subversion control system, because that application was 15 years or 20-year old. That application was developed in 1992 or 1993. So that application is known as legacy application. So the people are not ready to move from centralized version system to distributed version system. So I still remember I after learning some things, I proposed. Yes, Rohan, if it is the public repository, then it is very much legal. If it is private repository, anyways, you will not have access to that particular repository. Okay. So I worked with the SVN as well, and I am currently working with GitHub, GitLab, in everyday life. Okay. So I proposed the client that, hey, can we just switch from SVN to GitHub? So there was a lot of discussion was there, a lot of discussion was gone over there, but finally I convinced them to move the source code from centralized version control system to the GitHub, because I gave them the demonstration. In order to commit the code or in order to work with the centralized version system, we need to be online every time. Or second drawback is, if repository is down, or if your server is got crash, we are not able to get the latest code. Although we are having a copy or backup of code in our local system. If you see here, working copy. So what used to do, guys, developer 1, developer 2, developer 3 people are working on the some features. Okay. So developer 1 will commit the code into repository, developer 2 will commit the code in repository, and developer 3 will also commit the code in his repository, the centralized repository. But when next time again these people started working on the new features, what they will do, they will ask the repository to share the updated or the latest code. So anyways, every developer or the manager or team lead is having the code with them, updated code. Okay. Now the second part is to overcome this issue, like single point of contact failure. To overcome this issue, the distributed version control system came into the picture. Okay. So ideally, let me give not only cons, but let me give you the benefits or the pros of the centralized version system. When centralized version system is most widely used today as well, in some of the scenarios, there is a possibility we need to use the centralized version system like SVN or CVS. But in which case, if the first point, if the application is legacy application, Okay. Second thing, if the team is very small, if let's say I'm having a team of only 3 to 4 people and I have to handle the project, in that case, at the certain extent, I'll ask team to work with the centralized version control system, or our architect will ask to work on centralized version control system. Okay. Now, second one is distributed version control system. So see guys, the word centralized, this is the center. Distributed, it is distributed. Okay. Now there is one more set of layer over here. Okay. Again, 3 developers are working. Developer 1 working copy, working copy, working copy, means developer 1, 2, 3. What they will do, they will commit their code into their local repository first. Local repository, we are going to see what is the meaning of local repository, what is the meaning of remote repository, and this is the remote repository. Okay. So distributed version control system contains multiple repositories. Each user have their own repositories and working copy. As I told you, every user 1, user 2, user 3 are having their own repository and own set of copy or own set of code with them. Okay. Now what will happen? Developer 1 will work on some functionality. They will commit their code in their local repository. Similar way, developer 2 and developer 3 also will do. Okay. Once everything is done, they will push their code. To the centralized server. Similar way for developer 2 and developer 3 as well. Now, here there is an extra set of layers in order to distribute your code. Okay. Once everything is done, when next time these people are started working again, developer 1, developer 2, developer 3, what they will do, they will pull the code into their local system repository. You can consider this repo as a local repository or your system. They will pull the code, they will start working on that code, and they will update the code, and again they will push the code. So understand the flow. Developer commit the code. Once code is committed, they will push the code to the repository. When next time developers start working, they will put the code into their local, and they will start working in the local, and again they will commit and push. So most important part as a DevOps engineer is you need to understand what is commit, what is push, what is pull. Okay. So there is one more thing here. If developer 1 is working, you are not able to touch the code of developer 2. You are not able to touch the code of developer 3. Okay, you people are working individually as an individual contributor. It has cloned repository. Let me see the questions. If 2 developers A and B are working on the same code and A and B change on the same line of code at the same time, then which change is accepted and how? So Hemant, this is, you can say, more of a real-time scenario. Okay. The first and foremost thing, it is never happened the 2 people will work on same code. They might be working on same functionality. One functionality have multiple tasks. Okay. There is no possibility that developer A and B will work on the same code. They will work on the same functionality but different tasks. As I gave you the example, I am working on login page and you are working on registration page. Okay. But in case still there is a dependency between the code. Okay. Still there is a dependency between the code. If you both the people A and B committed their code at the same time, the code will get committed. Okay. The code will get pushed. But before merging the code into the master branch, before merging the code into the main repository, the team lead or the expert who is above us, who is sitting above us, he will compare the code. He will check the code quality. Understood? I hope my answer is okay for you, Hemant. Second thing, Git has cloned repository. Is it correct? No. It is not correct. It is not the statement. We are able to clone any repository with the help of Git command line. This is the fact. This is the correct statement you can use. Okay. So distributed version control system. In the distributed version control system, we are having different tools The most widely tools are Git, GitLab, uh, Bitbucket, and cloud-based tools. Okay. So, any questions so far? So, hello. Hemant, I hope I answered your question. If you don't understand, please feel free to ask me again. So I'll give you more clear answer. Okay. So let's go ahead with the differences. Okay. This is centralized version control, and this is distributed version control. Okay. So centralized version control. There we are using the center repository, okay, and distributor version control, we are having the multiple repositories per developer. One developer is having their own one local repository. Okay. Okay. Then second point is there are no local repositories, there are local repositories. This is slow, this is fast. Okay. This require always internet connectivity in centralized version control system. But in distributed version control system, developers can work offline as well, only at the time of pushing the code into the remote server. Only at this point, at the push point, we require developer require the internet connectivity. Okay, but yes, they are working offline most of the times. Okay, then this is the entire column for compression, entire column as a partial compression. Okay. This is focus on sharing the changes and tracking and backing up the files. Distributed version control system is used. Due to network issue, what is version control? I didn't understand your question, Anand sir. Sorry. How to manage dependency of code which are written by two developer. So yes, Mohit, as I told you, to manage the dependency, developers need to synchronize. Everything is not going to happen with the help of tool. For example, me and Mohit, we are working together. Okay, so I'll ask Mohit sir, hey Mohit, I am working on this particular feature or this is particular task. Okay, you can work on some different task. Okay. So sometimes developer needs to align with each other. Developer needs to speak in order to resolve the conflicts. Anand sir, I have already explained what is version control. In order to keep the track of changes of your software, or in order to keep the history of your software, you are using the version control system. Right? So now let's come to if you understand what is the centralized version control system and distributed version control system. Now let's go ahead with the most widely used tool in today's industry scenario is Git or GitHub. Just give me a moment. Let me have a drink of water. See for water. Thank you, Jahangir, for responding. So now, what is Git? What is Git? Git is a version control system. Git helps us to track the code changes. As we know, the main function of version control system, you need to keep track of code changes, like what all code changes have done in my repository.
ईमेल्स ना बघावं लागेल. एंड स्ट्रिंग कर दो. एंड स्ट्रिंग हो गई. एंड